Good morning, and welcome to your daily Farm and Home Show, brought to you by the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. And now, here's your host. Good morning, and welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna Coles, and look, we're talking about snakes today. Dr. Matt Springer with the University of Kentucky's Extension Wildlife Specialist there. Good morning.
Good morning.
You brought friends.
I brought friends. I've got two friends here today, and both of these are fairly common snakes, especially the one you have, which is an eastern hognose snake. I have a corn snake, which is actually, we're in one of the areas in Kentucky you can really run into these guys a little more frequently. They're not common throughout the state.
Oh.
So you're kind of special to have these guys. Both of these are non-venomous snakes and actually are really helpful to have around, especially our corn snakes. They're rodent eaters.
Okay.
So they're really beneficial to have around the barns, grain bins, and your garden. So we want to, try to talk about how to ID snakes today to make sure that you know which ones are the good ones and which ones you have to pay a little more attention to.
Because a lot of times we get calls, and I was showing you a picture of a client that sent one in already, and the snake is a dead snake, and then they send it in for ID later. But snakes are actually beneficial.
Absolutely, yeah. They are a vital part of many of our ecosystems, and they play that role of rodent control in many cases, and it's been found in New York, in some of the areas that have really high Lyme disease presence, that rattlesnakes actually help drive down the occurrence of Lyme disease because they eat so many of the rodents that play that role in the system. Yeah, so they can be pretty important. So that's why we want to make sure people know how to identify them to try to make sure they don't kill as many snakes and maybe lessen that fear a little bit. Because most of the time people are like, as long as I see it and I know what it is and it's safe, I'm all right with it.
Right.
It's that unknown. Yeah.
Because even the corn snake that you have there, they come in many variations, but the first thing somebody's going to see is that coppery color, and they're automatically going to think it's copperhead.
Yeah, so that banding is the one thing that, well, it has a pattern to it. It must be a copperhead. And that's,
so walk us through some of the things that we need to look for.
Sure. So the venomous snakes, we have 4 venomous snake species in Kentucky, and realistically we only have 3. Because the pygmy rattlesnake is actually found only in land between the lakes, and there's probably maybe 10 of them in the entire state.
Oh, wow.
They're really not that many. We have the timber rattlesnake, we have the copperhead, which is what everyone knows about, and then in western Kentucky, we have the cottonmouth, or water moccasin. So those are the 3 that we have to really know about. And all of them are pit vipers, and they all have a big triangular head. You can actually see the slots in the head where the pits are to sense the heat.
Now, Matt, what people tell me, though, when I ask them about that stuff is like, I'm not going to get that close to their head.
And we don't want people. So one of the other features is they have like a cat slit eye instead of like these guys have a round pupil. So obviously, if you're this close to see a round pupil, you might be in trouble. So some of the other features we look for are the pattern of the band. So copperheads have a very distinct Hershey kiss pattern. Okay. The head is really the big thing that we look at. Okay. So.
Well, that's where this little guy, though, sometimes gets confused, Matt.
I know, and that's unfortunate that. So the hognose has its predator reaction is to flatten out in self-defense and show it's big and tough, and that sometimes gives a triangle head look. Or in the picture you showed me, the northern water snake has a larger head relative to its body, and it can kind of look at an angle that, somewhat similar to our venomous species. So it's tough, and the best thing to do is, if you see a snake and you're worried about it, don't play with it or avoid it. These guys, most of the time, will try to either let you walk right by and stay hidden, or go the other way before you're even around, and you may catch them when they're trying to get away from you. There's no snakes that are overly aggressive towards you unless you're already provoking them in some manner. So for our viewers here, the 2 snakes that they could potentially run into are your timber rattlesnake and your copperhead. We don't have cottonmouths here. They're just out west. So look for that triangle head. The rattlesnakes obviously have a rattle on their tail.
But there are other snakes that rattle their tail.
Absolutely.
They just don't have rattles.
So that's a great point. That snakes, one of their defensive features is they'll rattle their tail regardlessly if they're a rattlesnake or not, just to try to warn you that they're upset you're there. So just hearing a buzz doesn't mean it's a rattlesnake. That's a great point.
Yeah, so let me ask, there's a myth that if you have these non-venomous snakes, that some of them will keep away the venomous. Is that true?
That is true. So the king snakes actually eat other snakes, and they will eat the venomous snakes. So they're ones that you can have around, and they're actually quite common. So knowing how to identify those and keep them around is pretty important. And we have a website, through Wildlife Extension, Kentucky Snakes identification page. And if you have any questions or want to identify a snake, go to that website and it walks you right through all the traits you can use, your location, and it'll populate a list of snakes that it potentially could be.
All right, well, thanks for the information. If you have questions, snap a picture, send it to us, and hopefully, if we can't identify it, we can call Dr. Matt. So appreciate you watching and have a great day. If you have questions about today's topic, please call the Warren County Extension Office at the number on your screen. Thanks for watching and have a great day.